Hello students, in our last video we have discussed the anatomy of human heart, that what are the internal structure of human heart. So we have discussed the typical structure of human heart. So this typical structure is very important to understand the cardiac cycle. So now we are going to discuss this topic, what is cardiac cycle. So let us understand. So what is the meaning of cardiac cycle? Cardiac cycle means the happening, means जो घटना हो रही है from the starting of the heartbeat up to the second heartbeat. Suppose I am saying that heartbeat, one heartbeat is there, then the second heartbeat come. So the time period, or you can say the happening between the first heartbeat to the next heartbeat, that is known as cardiac cycle. And what happens during this cardiac cycle we will understand. So firstly, to understand this topic, two terms should be clear in your mind. First is the systole and second is the diastole. So what is the meaning of systole? सिस्टोल मीन्स कॉन्ट्रैक्शन, कि हम किसी चीज को अगर हम कंप्रेस कर देते हैं तो जो वॉल्यूम है वो क्या हो जाता है, डिक्रीज हो जाता है. सो व्हेन द हार्ट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इट इज नोन एज सिस्टोल, एंड व्हेन द हार्ट इज रिलैक्स देन वी कैन से द डायस्टोल. सो टू थिंग्स यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. सिस्टोल मीन्स कॉन्ट्रैक्शन and the diastole means relaxation. So that thing you have to understand. So what happened during this cardiac cycle? Firstly, when we can say both the atrium and the ventricular, when the contraction takes place we can say the systole, that the atrium also systole, ventricular also systole, contraction there, and during this process both the atrium and the ventricular they also relax, so that is known as the diastole, so also known as the relaxation. Now the heartbeat time we can say. So in 1 minute our heart beat 72 times. So heartbeat, that is 72 times per minute. So how we can find out the time period of a cardiac cycle, means in one cardiac cycle how much time that is taken. So to find out the duration of cardiac cycle, what we have to do, we have to divide 1 minute with the time of the heartbeat, means 72 times. So in 1 minute 72 times, so when we divide 60 by 72, then we will get 0.8 second, and this 0.8 second is the actual time that is used during the cardiac cycle. So in the cardiac cycle the total time that is 0.8 second. Now what are the steps of cardiac cycle? So there are the different steps. Firstly we can say the atrial systole, and the time period of atrial systole that is 0.1 second. Then atrial diastole 0.7 second, means the combination of both that should be 0.8 second. So during the systole and the diastole the total amount that should be 0.8 second. Then the ventricular systole means when the ventricular of the heart contract, then we can say it is 0.3 second, and the ventricular diastole that is 0.5 second. So that is the time period of the atrial systole and the atrial diastole, then ventricular systole, then ventricular diastole. Next topic is that is joint diastole. Now try to understand what is joint diastole. If I am saying joint, means there are the two things are there, and diastole means that relaxation. So what are the two things in case of heart? In case of heart, the auricles and the ventricles are there. So if both the auricles and the ventriculars, they relax at a particular time, means at the same time, if they are showing the relaxation, then it is known as joint diastole, and this joint diastole, that is of 0.4 second. After that, we can find out the cardiac output. Means after understanding this cardiac cycle, these different steps, then finally we can find out the cardiac output. Cardiac output means जो हार्ट ने टोटल कितना अमाउंट ऑफ जो ब्लड है वो पंप किया है, उसको हम बोलेंगे कार्डियक आउटपुट. तो कार्डियक आउटपुट निकालने के लिए हमें सबसे पहले चाहिए स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम इनटू हार्ट बीट. सो फर्स्टली व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम? स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम का मीनिंग ये होता है कि जो वेंट्रिकुलर ऑफ द हार्ट जो 70 ml ब्लड जो है वो पास करता है, तो उस वॉल्यूम को जो वेंट्रिकुलर ऑफ हार्ट जो ब्लड पास करेगा उसको हम बोलेंगे स्ट्रोक वॉल्यूम. सो द ब्लड पंप बाय द वेंट्रिकुलर ऑफ द हार्ट, that is 70 ml, known as the stroke volume. And if we multiply this stroke volume with the heartbeat, then we can find out the cardiac output. And the cardiac output, that is the 5 liter. I think you understood up to here. So these are very important. You can take the screenshot of this so that you can came to know that what are the different time period of the atrial systole, atrial diastole, and you can maintain your notes. So these are the different steps of the cardiac cycle. Now we will discuss these different steps in detail.